Hi, boys and girls. This is percentage of quantity lesson 6. So make sure that you listen to lesson 5 before you start listening to this one, because they kind of go together. We're going to continue on, of course, as the lessons, the number gets higher, the difficulty level also goes up, but I think that you'll be able to handle it because you're smart. All right, here we go. William had $500. He spent 24% of his money on transportation and 36% on food. So the questions, we have two questions. What percentage of his money was left and how much money was left? Two very different things. So first off, we have 24% and 36% that he spent. So what percent of his money was left? First, let's find out how much he spent. So we'd say 24 plus 36, we get 60. So if he spent 60%, what percent of his money was left? And we would just subtract there. So 40% of his money is left. Now he wants to know how much money was left. Now we could go through this and we could say, we know he spent 60% and we could find out 60% of 500 and then we could subtract that amount to get what was left. Or now that we know that we need to find 40% because that is the money that was left. So how much money was left? 40% of 500. So here we go. We can do method 1 and find our 1%. So our 1% of 500, of course, we'll divide 500 by 100. So our 1%, 1 into 5 is 5. Okay. And then we would multiply 40 times 5, and we would get 4 times 5 is 20 with a 0. Okay? Or we can do method 2, which is simply 40% of 500, which looks like 40 over 100 times 500 over 1. We would cross reduce. Sorry about that. I do that sometimes. Over here, method 1, I found my 1% is 5. 40 times 5 is 200. Over here, I'm just writing 40%, writing it as a fraction, times 500 over 1. I cross reduce. 100 will go into 100 once and 500 5. And then 40 times 5 is 200. Hard to see that, isn't it? 200. So he spent $300 because he has $200 left. So we can figure all that out now that we know all that information, right? All right, let's go ahead and do another one. Okay, so this question, there were 400 members in a swim club. 12% of the members were children, the rest were adults. How many adults were there? Now, by this point, you can use method 1, method 2, method 3. It's whatever you want. Of course, not going to tell you what method to use. It's whichever one you are more comfortable with. I am going to say there are a couple ways to solve this problem. The first way, of course, would be there are 400 members and 12% are children. So if 12% are children, what percent are adults? So I'd say 100% minus 12% will give me 88% are adults. So if I know that 88% are adults, then all I have to do is 88% of 400. So I can figure it out that way. Or I could find the 12% of 400, which is the children, or I could say 12% of 400 and find that answer, and then subtract whatever that is from 400. So we're going to do both ways. First, we're going to say 88% of 400, and I'm going to reduce here. I'm going to say 100 goes into 400 4 times, and 88, you see that, times 4. 8 times 4 is 32. 32, 33, 34, 35. All right, so on this side, there are 352 adults. All right. Oh, now let's see if we find the same answer over here. So I'm going to sell 12% of 400. This is going to be how many children there are. All right, 12 times 4 is 48. So if there are 48 children of the 400, if I subtract the 48 children, I ought to be able to get my adults. So I can't take 8 from 0, and I can't borrow from a 0. So I come over here and borrow from the 4. That becomes 3. So that makes 10 tens. All right, so then I borrow from that, becomes 9 to make that 10. 10 from 8 is 2. 9 minus 4 is 5. 3 minus 0 is 3. So both ways get me 352 adults. So that must be the answer. What do you think? All right, so you are now ready to do exercise 22. We just took a baby step from where we were. Now there's, as you can see, that each of these problems had 2 steps. So we've gone from 1-step problems percentage of a quantity to a 2-step problem with percentage of a quantity. Can you guess what's coming up next? But we're not going to do that today. So I'll see you soon, and we'll do lesson 7, which actually is our last lesson on percentage. So you only have one more to go. Congratulations. Good luck.